Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Talk About It Tuesday on this, well, it's kind of soggy here. Hold on, we have one minor sound adjustment. We got it. A soggy Tuesday morning, here in Montgomery. But anyway, we just want to say thanks for joining us. We have sort of a mixed bag of topics to talk about this morning. Have Michelle, Adam, and Anderson here with me. Daniel's down the hall. So we will go ahead and get started. There you go. Nope.
Battery may be dead. Or the slideshow's dead. Whoop, whoop.
Oh.
Nope.
I think we might need to dust off the cobwebs this morning. Anyway, we're gonna go over a few board updates, and like I said, we're gonna kind of bounce around with a few topics to see to cover some things that different people need to know about. And the reason that we're doing this is basically one, so after this is done, it can be cut into segments and we can share the appropriate things with the appropriate stakeholder group. So some of this may not pertain to you all, but the purpose of this is to get this information out there and make certain that everybody is aware. So a few little, let's see, does this work now? There we are. All right, so here in the State 911 board, hi Daniel. Good morning again. For the purpose of this, which would have been really funny if you'd flip backwards and not hurt yourself. Anyway, the purpose of this is one, to notify our vendors. We are, as state government does, we are learning a new portal in which to procure things. So they're trying to teach a few old dogs new tricks, and we're having to integrate ourselves into Alabama Buys, which is the state's procurement system. What that means for suppliers to the 911 board is you also have to be in there so that we can do our things like competitive bids, quick quotes, purchasing, all of those types of things through this system. So what that means for suppliers to the board or existing vendors of the board, you will need to become a supplier or make certain that you're an existing supplier.
Yes.
Should I repeat anything?
Yes.
Should I start over?
No.
Where should I start?
The explanation of Alabama Buys.
Okay, so the Alabama Buys is the state of Alabama's procurement system. And what we're having to do is integrate our purchasing into that process for the state. We still maintain some autonomy outside of the state comptroller's office and the finance department. However, we still, as a state agency, have to hit all the marks as far as what we have to do for procurement, to include, of course, following procurement laws and all of that stuff. But this is another step that we have to take and integrate ourselves into their procurement system. So what this means for those suppliers to the board or vendors to the board is you also will have to be in there. This is how we will do our RFPs and promote those and take bids on quick quotes and buy promotional items or equipment or furniture for the office or whatever it is that we need to buy. This is the system in which we will utilize. Just to set the record straight, this is not us, this is state purchasing. So this information that I'm giving you is third-party information. They've given it to us and I'm providing it to you. But we have had a couple of our vendors try it and they were able to get up and running in the system. So that's why we're sharing this information with you. It is possible that an existing vendor of ours could already have a profile within Alabama Buys if you've done business with some other state agency or something like that. But in the event that you haven't, you will need to become a new supplier. So there's a quick start guide that you can download and you'll register within Alabama Buys. The link to the supplier side of the house is up there, and you can just follow their quick start guide and log in and review. So next, again, this is not us, this is them. So there's a whole support component that they offer too. If you call us and have problems, the best we're going to do is refer you to them for help. But this is the support side of the house again for the supplier side. So they have FAQs, training videos, documentation to help you navigate the website, those sorts of things. And then of course they have a phone number and an email address that you can ping if you have a specific question. We have had to do that already multiple times as we've been put into the system as an agency, as a buyer, I guess. Um, so just so you know, there is help for you. We just may not know the answer. And the last thing, just a little bit of a recap and quick links for you for this process. I want to make another kind of emphatic statement. This does not change how we will pay you. Sorry, at first I was like, that's the wrong way. Anyway, I messed with this slide multiple times this morning, and anyway, I thought, well, that still doesn't say what I thought it said. Anyway, it does. This doesn't change how we'll pay you. We still utilize Bill.com for our payments to vendors, so there's no change there unless we get a surprise and can't use it anymore. But the way that Alabama buys is those relationships are established with the vendors already, and then we just get an invoice and we would do it just like we do through Bill.com, or it would send directly into Bill.com. So again, this does not change how a vendor will get paid, but it does change how we will procure services and goods from vendors. I did do a one pager, and that link is up there. That is a link that anybody within this organization and outside of this organization can view. So if I find that there's some sort of edit that needs to be made, anybody here on staff can make that. It is a Word document. We didn't PDF it or anything, but it should hopefully always be up to date based on information that they've given us. Again, there's a link to the supplier support and their website of how a buyer gets involved in Alabama Buys, and then information for the help desk. So we're going to move along to the next topic of conversation. There's a lot of words on this slide, and you've seen this slide. I've presented on this slide in multiple meetings, multiple trainings, multiple different places. And I think what's important for you all to understand is you probably continue to hear us talk about the valid request, the valid request, the valid request, implementing Next Gen 911. There are a number of things since 2021 that have occurred to help move Next Gen 911 forward from the FCC down. There's been a lot of contribution from carriers, vendors, 911 authorities like us, locals, state, regional, all of that, to basically try to move 911 forward. And I'm going to put this in the realm or frame of enhanced 911 phase 1 and phase 2. So just like all the 911 centers had to validate that they were capable of receiving enhanced 911 data from carriers back in the 90s, this is very similar to that same process. Hopefully it's a bit more streamlined and a bit more standards based and consistent versus everybody do it their own way. But all that said is we, as the 911 authority for the 911 network in the state of Alabama, have proclaimed, if you will, filed that we are ready to accept IP-based or SIP formatted 911 calls. And what that means is we have a network in place. We have build out to all the PSAPs, and we want to deliver this information to the 911 center as they accept these 911 calls. And hey, carriers, meet us here at our 2 meet points within the state and deliver it in this format so that we can sort of have a consistent delivery of that information, which is more information than we have had in the past. And again, this is just phase 1. So there's more information that will say that we're ready for phase 2. But I will tell you, in my mind, before we can say that we're phase two ready, we know that there's going to be an incredible amount of CPE or call handling platform updates needed in the state. That's just something that's going to have to be the case. But the reason why this sort of ties into a number of our other initiatives. So we are doing analytics at the network level, analytics at the edge. We are doing our GIS project for a statewide data set. We've done the remediated, how many are we in? 50, 60?
63.
63 are done as far as remediated data sets. All of these things work together for us to say, hey, carrier, are you sending the information to the 911 center like you should, in the format that you should, in a way that you should, in a cost-effective way, even because there are some things where there's technology in place that is still very, very, very expensive and not very reliant, resilient, or redundant. So we're trying to cull, if you will, the legaciness out of getting.
Like that.
There we go. There's a new word for you, Anderson. You heard it here first. Anyway, but we're trying to cull that out of the system that we built here in the state of Alabama, as are many of other 911 authorities in the state. But what this means for you as far as PSAPs go, and I think that's what you're probably most interested in, is during the conversion process, what we will have to do is there will be a number of test calls that a carrier may need to make to your 911 center. Melissa Carpenter and I sit on as many of those as that we're available for, which kind of fills up calendars. But for the most part, it's just necessary to listen to the carriers, talk to those that are monitoring the network to make certain that this information is routing. They see the call come in, they see that it delivers, and then we'll have a public safety telecommunicator. Typically, the test caller will ask about Annie and Allie, or they'll ask about the phone number. They'll ask some very specific information about the call and confirm that the format is correct and that the call taker sees the correct information. So that's really what that means to you all as far as your obligation as you're sitting in the seat. It's very important that we do this because when we did our ballot request, that puts carriers on a timetable of 6 or 12 months to get their side of it done. That being said, then we have to not be the holdup to make certain that that conversion happens. That's probably as far as I want to go into that at this point. But the most number of test calls I've heard on any one call was less than 10. Most of them have been less than 6 or maybe less than 4. So I'll just say I would really, really appreciate directors out there, supervisors out there, operations managers out there. Please let your folks know. Melissa always tries, as long as we have a heads up, Melissa always tries to make certain that the center knows that it's that these test calls are coming. And we really need that message to be delivered to those sitting in the seat for that shift. Also, I have been on, like I said, a number of these calls, and the test caller has been very patient so far and just wanted to not interrupt the flow of your operations, but we do need to confirm that this information is correct. So, anything else that's important needs to be added to that? Okay. Just part of the process, another thing where we're really enhancing the operation of the network that we've built here, something very, very, I don't know, I'm very proud of it that Alabama can say, hey, we're ready for this. Daniel, was it you that you watched you were in a session at APCO, and David Firth, one of the bureau chiefs at the FCC, he put up a new map, and their Alabama SAT is, lit up with whatever color as ready, essentially. So this is just another, I guess, checking our box, feather in our cap, if you will, as far as what we're doing here in the state of Alabama. So with that, I appreciate y'all's contribution to that. We're trying to keep it less of a burden on you, and it's more of a burden on the network side and on the other sides. But we do need your information whenever, or your participation whenever we call with those test calls. So thank you for that. And I think I'm done on that topic. Yep.
You don't have any more to say?
I have plenty more to say, but you know, I'll interrupt as needed.
I know you will.
Uh-huh.
That's all good. So let's talk a little bit about Grant Cycle 10. All right, so a little history for those who have participated in our grants program. September 24, we were prepared with a recommendation for our full board. And then we got some advice during our sunset review that that was not something we needed to be doing. So we had the board table all of those applications. There were 31 in total for requests that amounted just over $5 million. Went into action for what we needed to do to correct that, to allow us to continue the grant program. Out of that, House Bill 263 became Act 2025-376, which changed the flow of the fund and also allowed us to resume the grant program. In bold underlined letters, it is important to know this law does not take effect until October 1st, 2025, which means we cannot award grants and fund them. We cannot fund grants until October 1st, 2025 or after. So what we've been doing since then, since the bill passed both bodies of state legislature, we started developing how exactly we were going to be able to untable grant cycle 10 applications. So we sent out an email with a link to a form at the end of July or near the end of July to re-engage with 31 applicants. Now, the important part of this engagement is that there is to be no change in scope of the original project, and your choice is either to withdraw or to proceed and to provide us with updating pricing information for the project that was originally applied for. So far, we've gotten 22 responses, so we lack 9 responses from those applicants. So if you don't think you've seen that email or you didn't know that we are re-engaging people and you know that you applied, either contact me and I'll re-forward you the email or the link, or when these slides go up on our website, that blue hyperlink will take you to the re-engagement form that'll allow you to make that choice after typing in identifying information. And then you can email me any updated pricing quotes. If your project was for call handling and it was through in digital, Jim Fleming has likely already sent you said updated quote. And if you didn't know about it, then you may have asked him questions about it. So it is important that we get these responses back by September 1st, 2025. That is the deadline. If we do not hear from you, we will withdraw your application from Grant Cycle 10 and move forward with making another recommendation to the full board in our September board meeting. Responses due September 1st, 2025.
Which is less than 3 weeks away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is it. Did I cover everything?
Yes, and I have more to say.
Okay.
So I was just going to add, as far as the big picture with this is, so fiscal year 2025, we had to put a pause on a number of things and the way that that has worked in this last year, or almost year. And so, one, I want to say I appreciate y'all's patience with us, but this has been a real effort on a lot of fronts to try to get through this fiscal year and maintain the programs that we could maintain. Fortunately, we here at the board office had enough funding available in our 1% to continue the PST reimbursements, the training and certification that we've done for PSTs. So we're incredibly thankful for that. I'm glad and exceedingly grateful that legislation passed so that we can get back to that. We know that we can sustain that. Again, it's just been sort of an effort on all parts for this last year. And I feel like some of you are probably thinking about, well, what about grant cycle 11 and what about next grant cycles? And we need to get into fiscal year 26, see how the flow of that funding is going to work. If you were in attendance at our last board meeting, either online or in person, or the 911 Summit, we talked pretty in depth about this and what the flow of the funding will look like. A week or two ago, I think several of you had asked during those events, like, what is my baseline so that I can finish up my budget? So that letter was sent out to you all a couple weeks ago. But there have been several things we've been doing to try to not just re-engage Grant Cycle 10, but to hopefully get back to business in a way that y'all are more used to, and that is more cyclical for us, because that's helpful to us, with some minor changes. But anyway, that's a very specific topic about Grant Cycle 10 and the whole scheme of how we've had to operate this past year. But cautiously optimistic, we'll continue on with new business as usual, maybe. And we'll see what Sunset Review has to say. We have a hearing, the letters on our website. We have a hearing August 21st, I think, yeah. And we'll see what the committee decides for us for our future. So thanks again for your support on that. Next.
Anderson, this is where you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, as Leah mentioned, I don't know if you've heard, but we are undertaking a GIS data remediation project, which, as I mentioned earlier, at last count, I believe we are at 63 participants out of the 85. The purpose of that GIS data remediation is to prepare your GIS data to meet the digital minimum GIS data requirements for next generation 911 core services provisioning. Say that 3 times fast. Essentially,
There's more.
yeah, but wait, there's more. Essentially, digital has said that the GIS data needs to look like X, Y, and Z to function in their next generation core services that ride on the engine network. We realized very early on that we were not prepared to meet those minimum data requirements at a statewide level. The remediation project was our way of assisting districts to achieve those minimum data requirements. Out of that data remediation project, you will receive, if you have completed that, what DataMark calls the client verify portion of the project. Essentially, DataMark remediates the data as best they can, but then at the end returns to you what requires authoritative local knowledge to complete the remediation and to deliver to digital those minimum data requirements they outlined. We've gotten a lot of feedback that that client verify portion of the deliverables is confusing. And so we have modified our ongoing VEP training to address that fact. If you've have previously attended VEP training within the last 6 months, it was more of a how do I VEP type of training. This version of the training is different and new to you. It is specifically designed for districts who A, have completed their data remediation, and B, have some way to edit, preferably Esri Arc Pro, if not Pro Map, installed on a laptop that they can bring to the training. So very narrow specific requirements. Completed the data remediation, received your client verified deliverables, and have the ability to come to training with a laptop, preferably installed with Esri Arc Pro or Map. Obviously, it's going to be at Hoover on August 27th and 28th. I sent an email late last week with the agenda details. The training is 2 days and runs in a linear fashion, but if you can only make one or the other, we would still love to see your smiling face. So, yes, sir.
Can you provide 2 to 3 examples of what a client verify looks like in the delivery?
So, one of the most common things, essentially, the data remediation is meant to, through the GIS, identify a unique location for every 911 call that enters the engine network. One of the most common client verifies we see is duplicate of address points. Most commonly in shopping centers or apartment complexes where you either have a singular address for a number of units or you have the same address across multiple units.
That would be the resolution to that.
Sub-addressing, Adam, which we will talk about in great detail in the VEP training. Essentially the client verified distilled into its essence are the remaining anomalies in the data set that need to be resolved that Datamark was not able to resolve on their own and require locally authoritative knowledge and need to be remediated in a GIS editable environment. Preferably, like I said, trying to drive this point home, Esri Arc Pro. Now, do you need to do this on a laptop in your normal work environment? No, but we are on a portable or mobile training environment, so we need you to bring your laptop with Esri Pro Map. I've had questions. Can I still come if I don't have Esri Pro Map installed? Sure, we would love to see you, but we feel like to get the most out of this training, come with a laptop and an GIS editable environment. I know we have other users who utilize other editing platforms. We will accommodate those, but the point of this training is to give you hands-on knowledge on how to resolve those client verify issues that were returned to you through the GIS data remediation project.
Two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the only one of these we're having?
No, it's a great question. I've actually had that question asked to me. We engaged with Datamark at the beginning of the remediation to have 10 VEP trainings across the state. We have, I think, reached a saturation point on our original VEP training, how to VEP. And we've gotten, like I said earlier, a lot of feedback about, I don't know what client verify means and I don't know what to do with it. And so we have pivot to modify the training.
Difference means we're all
That's exactly what I was saying. You just dated us. But okay.
To modify the VEP training to address the specific feedback we've gotten about the confusion of what a client verify is and how to manage that. So this is the first of at least 3. We would like to have one in the northern part of the state. I'm looking at you, Huntsville or Limestone County, and we would like to have one in the southern part of the state. I'm looking at you, potentially Mobile or Baldwin County, and probably, if we still have a need, a 4th training here in our office in Montgomery. So, yes, ma'am.
I have a second question.
We had a second. Questions everywhere.
What it was. Deadline for this client
That was
verify.
mine.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have identified a deadline of resolving client verifies, and or if you are on this call and don't know what the data remediation project is, you need to call me as soon as this call hangs, as soon as we finish talk about it Tuesday.
As soon as we hang up.
We do have, I believe, 4 or 5 districts that have said we've got data remediation handled in-house, and we do have, I believe, of the 63 that have completed data remediation at last count, 41 meet the requirements.
Wow.
63 minus 41 is 19? 18? We're going to go with 18. 18 districts that need to.
That's not right, but okay.
No, it's not right. That need to finish up their client verifies, even with the 63. We'll just put that in number. We have 63 districts that need to resolve their client verifies, and this training is designed specifically to help assist you in figuring out A, what my client verify issues are, and B, how to resolve them.
So for those that think client verify is so daunting of a task, is it that hard? Or is there help available?
It's like with everything else, truly. Is VEP daunting? It can be if you don't use it every day. The analogy I always use with anything, GIS, VEP, client verify, it's like learning to play the guitar. If you don't pick it up every day, or at least every couple of days, you're never going to get better at it. But it is overwhelming initially, and that's why we offer as much assistance out of this office as we do.
Anderson will also be on hand at the Gulf Coast Conference. We thankfully, the conference committee has afforded us to be able to rent our own space, and there will be availability.
Datamark
there.
Datamark will be on site. I'll be on site. We are there to be a resource and help you out in any way we possibly can, and that's right around the corner. Talking about 3 weeks away. What is October, middle of October?
Right.
Yes.
Hey, you know what else is right around the corner? Football season.
Oh dear, don't say it.
I will pause there for any questions. It looks like we had a couple of chat updates, Michelle.
Just talking about how some of our participants or our listeners are dated as well.
It's always good to drop a reference from the 90s, right? Daniel, did you get that?
I did, but because I've heard it before and had to look it up.
Do you know what a beeper is?
Yeah,
All right.
never had one.
That's kind of the line of demarcation between people that are too young and do you know what a beeper is?
So a couple
Okay.
things we're going to talk about just about upcoming training. We got the Vesta user training by Digital in Talladega. I think they've got four total sessions that are different time slots. So when you do go to register, and it's the same registration that we register everywhere, every other training that we have, just be careful to look at which time you're registering for. And that again, that is in Talladega in September 22nd to the 23rd. We also have crisis call training continuing August 19th to 20th in Ashland has been pretty well filled up looking here now, which is great to see in some of the smaller locations that we put it at. There are a couple of spots left open for both of those sessions in August 19th and 20th. And in October in Atmore, I think we've got plenty of availability there as well.
Very good.
The emotional and social intelligence in November has just opened up. We do not have a lot signed up yet, but we'd love to get more in there. That's by Charles Hedgepeth with Level Up Training. That's the same as what's his name? Jason Long. That's
Yeah.
Jason Long's group. Jason Long's group. And he's great. He was at our user conference last year and had a lot of good response. So we wanted to bring him back to the state. We also have the upcoming CTO training at Shelby County 911, November 17th and 19th.
And this is the rescheduled class, right? Is that the CTO? No,
No,
no. Wait, which one was what, didn't we have to postpone one and it was rescheduled?
well,
Wasn't it that
it
one?
kind of was, but I don't think we ever opened it up.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind then.
So
We have a lot of demand for a CTO course, so we just want to make certain that everybody knows this. And I think we had some scheduling earlier, yeah. So,
And I looked it up. Daniel's prompted me to look up. We have 9 registered for the client verified training with a
Oh.
30-person roster. So there's still plenty of availability.
I don't know.
And there will be. I know I had Brad from Morgan County reach out and ask about training up north, and we will have some training.
Do we have an ETC class?
We do have an ETC class September 29th here in Montgomery coming up as well. That's also registration is open for that. And another reminder about the CTO course that is fully sponsored by the board. That is free to attend. Normally that would cost a bit of money, but it is being covered by the Alabama 911 board, and it is free to attend. We've had only 10 registered so far, and I think we can fit 25.
I do take for granted how fortunate we are that some training is pay to play, but all of the data mart training is free to attend. So please, the only requirement is you bring a laptop. And I did confirm with Uber they have power at every table.
that's good.
That is good.
Some
I was gonna
reminders.
say, Michelle, you take it away.
Some reminders here, as always, the legacy cost reimbursement and the PST certification reimbursement. If you get them in by the 10th of the month, they're generally paid out at the end of the month. And those links will go to the information in the forms. If you're hiring, send me your job opening and I will get it posted to our website, get you a little bit more exposure. And Anderson and I validate, aggregate your GIS data to the state office BEP every 2 weeks. It's important to have, what's the word? Not immediacy.
Legacyness?
Updated information. I lost the word. It started with an R, didn't it?
Recency.
Recency.
Recent
Look at Michelle.
information.
Michelle listens to me.
We can't help it here.
Well, hear and listen are different.
Touche. I want to say one thing about PSD certification reimbursements. So I'll tell you for anybody that's listening and might want to know, we have had to work through a number of ACH issues. Well, not even issues, but just implementations because we have for PSC certification reimbursement, sometimes we have to reimburse the PSAP, sometimes we have to reimburse a commission, a council, a city. So this last round of PSC certifications that I did at the end of July, the um, there might have been a kerfluffle or two, but I will get those this round, and it's just we're having to figure out who to do business with and who to make the payment to. And that's just been, I don't know, a learning curve for us. But just so you all know, if you have submitted one, you've probably, and you haven't gotten, if you've submitted it by the 10th of a month and didn't get paid by the end of that month, it's probably because we have had some question issue or
Need some additional.
need some additional information. So just know that if you don't get it by the end of the following month, then please reach out to Adam or me and say, hey, I'm expecting this reimbursement. We didn't get this. So
While we're on it, it's important and imperative and required that we get the invoice, preferably with the PST's name on it. But not all of them have that on it, but the invoice from whatever company you use for either the materials or the course fees or anything like that, as well as proof of payment. Now, sometimes there's a receipt that is produced. APCO is really good about that. There's one document that they send that has both the item that was purchased as well as the name, as well as the form of payment. But we log these reimbursements on each PST's profile within my Alabama 911, so we don't end up reimbursing multiple times for people. So that's an important thing that hangs up the process sometimes too, when we just get an invoice, or a PO that doesn't really have any further information, and we have to reach back out. It's not an issue. We can always add it. It just puts a delay on the process. Do y'all have any questions?
why are you looking at me? I always got questions, Adam.
Do you feel indicted?
Do any of our
No.
listeners have any questions?
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. We are going to take this video and split it up and probably put it as a whole both ways, so we can utilize it to send out to people who need the bits of information, and also make it accessible for anybody who may have missed this this moment in time live. If y'all need anything, we're always here available. You can send us an email or you can call us here at the office, and we appreciate you guys spending some time with us.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
y'all, everybody.
Have a good rest of your week.